Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, help us out and click the subscribe button and show your support. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. Starting this week, we're going to be changing to a little bit different format for the podcast. Not all our episodes, but just a couple of them. We're going to be doing separate Raw and SmackDown reports, 2 separate episodes. We'll keep our news podcasts and all the other things we do on their own version. We're going to shorten up the broadcast a bit for some of us, and I'm still going to try to go out there and get you guys some interviews and some other action-packed things, but in the end of the day, the Raw and SmackDown reports tend to be a little longer, so I want to try to shorten that up for you, because you got some people who are diehard Raw fans, some who are diehard SmackDown fans, or you just don't have 30 minutes every day to listen to one of these broadcasts. So we're going to get you the Raw report first today, summing up what happened on the show. We started off Raw with Bayley. She has an in-ring segment where she's talking about her match at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship. This was actually a pretty well-built segment. She's out there claiming she's going to come out of WrestleMania as the champion, which you obviously expect the Women's Champion to say. This match has now been made into a elimination match, which I think can only help the booking in some way because it gives you a lot more directions you can go. I'm still not sure what their booking plan is for this match, but you know, the odds makers have been all over the place with this match. We have Charlotte come out. She's complaining to Bayley about how, you know, she wouldn't get played like Bayley's getting played by Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks doesn't care about her. She cares about championships. She even references a tweet that Sasha Banks posted that says, "Keep your friends close and your enemies closer," and has a picture of Charlotte and Sasha Banks hugging. Now, obviously, it's an old tweet or whatever, but at the end of the day, this builds some great potential storyline between Sasha Banks and Bayley in the future. Sasha Banks, of course, comes out to refute this. She's out. She explains that she and Bayley are friends, but they can separate their friendship from business. And at WrestleMania, she's going to handle her business. You know, that's what the boss does. Of course, Nia Jax, being that she's involved in the match too, she has to come out. She's claiming she's going to squash all of them pretty much. And before the end of the interview segment, Sasha Banks attacks Charlotte, Nia Jax attacks Bayley, there's a full-on brawl going down, and, you know, this turns into a tag team match. Now, of course, you have to expect that lately. That seems to be what the Raw pattern is. They open the show with some kind of conversational piece, and it transitions into some kind of match that everybody could see coming from a mile away. This match sees the finish when Bayley ends up hitting a Bayley to belly on Charlotte to pick up the pinfall victory. What was interesting was watching the way they worked Nia Jax in this match, which I think is going to come into play when they do the booking for the WrestleMania match. Nia Jax still looked like a beast, but she looked just vulnerable enough that it was believable that she was going to be in some peril in this match. I don't think at any point you got the sense that Nia Jax was going to be the one picking up the loss here. And what I really have an issue with, to be honest with you, is Charlotte again gets pinned. Charlotte, pretty much, with the exception of the matches with Sasha Banks where they were swapping that women's championship, Charlotte spent the better part of the last, recent memory being virtually unstoppable. That figure 8 was just unstoppable, and she wasn't losing to anybody. And now she's lost her championship, lost her rematch. She's getting beat here in this tag team match. It's getting to be where it's too easy to beat Charlotte. I have a problem with that. What I also have a problem with is the blown opportunities. Dana Brooke, for 1 week, looked like a legitimate threat to Charlotte when they had her have her moment where Charlotte was pushing her down in the ring and giving her a hard time in the ring, and she snaps and beats the snot out of Charlotte. The very next week, you came back and you buried Dana Brooke by letting her get obliterated by Charlotte, and now she's not even in the equation. She should have been involved in either the match at Mania or this match here to add some intrigue to Mania. Instead, she's kind of like an afterthought. I'm still hoping that she's going to have some role at WrestleMania, and I will talk about that on a later podcast when I do the predictions. Coming up in a couple days, I will give you guys my WrestleMania predictions. Keep your eyes out for that episode, and I will talk about this match in depth. At the end of the whole melee, by the way, Nia Jax, the really cool segment, part of this situation for her was she ends up hitting the Samoan drop, she ends up dropping a leg, she ends up bowling over Charlotte, like she takes out everybody. So Nia Jax walking tall, typically means that she's not the one who's booked to win the match at Mania, but that's okay. She looked great in this particular segment. The next part is Sami Zayn in the back. He's talking about how what a horrible week it was. You know, Mick Foley being fired and all this other stuff. And he declares his intentions to enter the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which is fine, because I haven't seen anywhere else where they could put him into the card that makes any kind of sense, because they've left one of their most premier talents, Sami Zayn, sitting on the sideline heading into the biggest pay-per-view of the year, which they've done with several talents. I'm a little frustrated with the booking of some of these talents. And then you got stupid matches on the card with, like, Miz and Maurice versus John Cena and Nikki Bella. That match I couldn't care less about. And then you've got people like Sami Zayn sitting on the sideline. Technically speaking, you've got Samoa Joe sitting on the sideline. You've got just this plethora of talent doing nothing. Dolph Ziggler sitting on the sideline. You know, what are we going to do? Throw everybody into the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? That's just our way to put a Band-Aid on the fact that some of our best workers who've done some of the best programs throughout the entire year get thrown into crappy matches. I'm starting to vent. I'm going to calm down, and I'm going to focus back on what happened on Raw. Sami Zayn wants to enter the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Stephanie steps in, and she explains he can't just enter himself, which I thought that's what pretty much everybody has done so far on Raw or SmackDown. They all just enter themselves. Somehow Sami Zayn's not allowed to do that. So it's kind of like, you know, back in January, the same thing. When he wants to go into the Royal Rumble, somehow they always want to hold somebody back and act like they got to do something special to get into these big matches where everybody else just gets to claim they're in. So I hate the way they do that because it's so inconsistent across their show. See that? I'm venting again. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to refocus. This ends up turning into a situation where she creates a match for later in the evening, no disqualification. Sami Zayn will face Kevin Owens. If he wins, he gets to enter the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but if he loses, he's fired. Now, I don't know about you. I don't even know why you would use an angle where somebody gets fired at this point. It's about as stupid at booking as it comes. There's another show on your exact same company. So go ahead, fire Sami Zayn. He'll go sign with SmackDown because they want talent there. And the reputation of SmackDown is that's where people get an opportunity. I would love to see them fire Sami Zayn just so he can go over to SmackDown and actually be used a little more properly. Think about it. He has no match at Mania. Instead of us having to watch Shane McMahon versus AJ Styles, you could have watched Sami Zayn versus AJ Styles. I'd much rather watch that match. Just saying, I'm venting again. Can you notice how frustrated I was with Raw this week? Austin Aries takes on Noam Dar with Alicia Fox. I'm actually happy because finally Alicia Fox did something of substance, distracting Austin Aries, almost getting a win for Dar. You knew that wasn't going to happen heading into WrestleMania. You got Neville over on commentary. The finish sees the discus 5-arm from Austin Aries, puts away Noam Dar when he pops on the last chancery for the submission win. I love how they gave the submission win here to kind of, you know, go up against the Rings of Saturn that Neville's been using lately. I think Neville needs to pull out the red arrow a little more often so we could get used to seeing that every now and again. But at the end of the day, this is a good lead-in to their match, which now has been moved to the kickoff show. Why in heaven's name would you move this could be the match of the WrestleMania pay-per-view and you move it to the kickoff show. I'm so frustrated with that. These guys needed more time and more exposure, and instead, I almost feel like they squashed the match by moving it to the kickoff show. Unless you're going to really hype the kickoff show, which I know they're giving it some promotion, but nothing like being at WrestleMania on the main card. We're going to move on to, they show Seth Rollins. He's arriving in the back. He's on the crutch. He's limping. There's a vignette. There's vignettes all throughout the night with the Undertaker walking around a graveyard. You know, there's some of that, but the main meat of this segment, Seth Rollins comes to the ring. It's for a contract signing against Triple H for their unsanctioned match at WrestleMania. You know, Triple H lays down some ground rules. If Rollins attacks him, he'll defend himself, and, you know, it's not going to go well for Rollins. If Rollins attacks him before the agreement is signed, the match at WrestleMania is off. Rollins has to listen to all the rights he's waiving before he's allowed to sign the agreement. Whatever, that's a whole bunch of legal mumbo-jumbo that they had to put in for this storyline. At one point, actually, he tells him to sit down, and Rollins won't sit down. He's like, never mind, the match is off, and he goes to walk away, and then Rollins sits down. It's kind of a bizarre segment, but, you know, the jaw jabbing back and forth is actually pretty good. Triple H has always been pretty good on the mic, and Rollins is obviously, of the contemporary stars, one of the best on the mic, so these two have really great chemistry. Then at the end of the thing, you know, Rollins signs the contract. Triple H ends up kicking the table and smacking it into his leg. And when that happens, Triple H goes after Rollins. Rollins actually pulls off a little bit of a shocker. He does a jumping enziguri and drills Triple H. He grabs and tries to put him in a pedigree. Of course, Triple H, he turns around and he uses his left arm to chop block him right behind the knee. And when he crumbles to the ground, Triple H goes over. He's going to try to put a pedigree on of his own, and he gets back body dropped over the top rope. To my surprise, he came charging right back in the ring. I actually thought that was going to be a part where he would retreat to the back, but anyways, he comes charging back into the ring, and here Rollins grabs the crutch, totally waffles him with the crutch. I love that they use, I don't know what kind of crutch material they use, but these suckers, they must be like aluminum or something. They bend so easily, but it made the point. You know, Rollins gets to stand tall, and what's interesting to me is on the way to the ring, he's limping so bad, but after he hits an enziguri, picks up the crutch and waffles him, while he's standing there for a few steps, he's not really limping at all. So you gotta sell it a little better than that. He's usually really good at selling things. Not in this particular situation. When we come back from commercial break, there is what I consider to be a complete waste of television time, and I don't even understand who won the match. The Big Show has an over-the-top rope challenge, obviously ahead of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He's in the ring, he's waiting. Jinder Mahal is the first person they send out. You know, he gets in the ring, he actually gets some good shots in to start the challenge, but literally maybe 8 seconds of shots before Big Show grabs him and throws him over the top rope, and that's the end of Jinder Mahal. Then you see Bo Dallas, they cue his music. Here comes Bo Dallas to the ring, another talent who's being completely wasted. He comes into the ring, again, few shots, jumps on a Big Show. Big Show ended up taking him and throwing him right out of the ring. Then you get to see the Shining Stars. They come out, they look all cocky and arrogant, they get into the ring, and when they jump on show, they try to both throw him over. Of course, it's not going to work. He gets up, grabs them both by a hand apiece, and shoves them over the top rope, making it look like he is completely unstoppable. The next, they have a whole group of guys come out. So Curtis Axel, Goldust, R-Truth, they come out. Jinder Mahal, Bo Dallas, Epico, Primo, they all get in a ring, and they all gang up on the Big Show. And the whole thing here is now it's the Big Show's over-the-top rope challenge. So if this was the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, there would be no problem with everybody jumping the Big Show. So I say that because these guys all grab him, and they end up throwing the Big Show over the top rope. Now, if a Battle Royal or a Royal Rumble or something like this was going on, and those other people were thrown out, they'd be gone. But even if they stayed at ringside, every once in a while you see one of those battle royals where the guy gets thrown out and then he climbs back in the ring and throws somebody else out, and they still make that guy stay out even though the other guy was already eliminated. So these 6 guys grab him and throw the Big Show out. What that means is after that, Curtis Axel, Goldust, and R-Truth should have still been standing in the ring. Big Show was eliminated. He should have been gone. Those 3 should have still been in the ring. Instead, he gets all mad. Big Show gets up, charges into the ring, and he clobbers everybody, choke slamming this and that, and weapon of mass destruction, punch to the face. And all this melee's going on. I thought it was pretty funny that you see R-Truth and Goldust just like, I'm backing up. They drop to the ground and roll out of the ring. But while all that's going on, I couldn't help but think, hey, you got eliminated, dude. A couple of these guys have an opportunity. They should be able to win this challenge here. And instead, you cue the music, and here comes Braun Strowman. He's at the top of the entranceway. He says, if he wanted to, he could come to the ring and destroy the Big Show, but that's what everybody wants him to do, and he's going to wait till WrestleMania. Now, here is the thing. I'm sure the listeners can remember only a few weeks ago on Raw, I was very, very honest when I said the Big Show and Braun Strowman put on a classic for big guys. Great match. So I'm looking forward to seeing those two lock up again, even though you already know the Big Show is not going to defeat Braun Strowman. But I enjoy watching the two work together. But I love that they kept them apart here. Because even though we already know Big Show's not going to eliminate Braun, we at least know that they put on a good pace when they get together. So I love that they kept them apart here. It makes it very obvious who the favorite to win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal is. Again, check into my podcast episode coming up in a couple days with my WrestleMania predictions, because I think there may be a surprise coming in that match. But at least for television time here that we're talking about, it looks like it's obvious that Strowman is the odds-on favorite to win this match. We move on, and the next segment is Roman Reigns. He's coming out to the ring. There's a hail of boos that are coming down from everywhere in Philadelphia. He knows that there's been vignettes playing all night long. He referencing the Undertaker. They don't faze him. He said he's in the back talking and says he plans on going to the ring and telling the whole WWE universe what he's going to do to the Undertaker. And then he's supposedly heading to the ring, which I find interesting, because if he's heading to the ring, why do we have other segments before we get either Roman Reigns has the longest walk to the ring, like a 40-minute walk, or something doesn't add up there. That segment should have been recorded for a different part of the show, because right after that, we don't get Roman Reigns in the ring. Instead, we get Gallows and Anderson attacking Cesaro and Sheamus in the back with a ladder after the commercial break, which I actually enjoy. I enjoy the fact that they're incorporating the ladder into this whole feud, because we've seen every one of the tag teams in the tag team championship match in every configuration there is go against each other since like November, December. I'm really tired of seeing Gallows, Anderson, Cesaro, Sheamus, Enzo, Cass, even the New Day. Like in that scenario, all four of those teams have done something with each other nonstop since probably before November. So they needed something to slightly freshen this up, and the ladder was an interesting addition. Then we still don't see Roman Reigns in the ring. What we see Neville facing Jack Gallagher, which, for those who watched Fastlane, these two belong in the ring together. Jack Gallagher, pound for pound, one of the best wrestlers in WWE right now. Very, very talented, very entertaining, and I hope at some point he gets a run with that title, because I feel like he's earned it. He is one of the few exciting things on 205 Live and in the Cruiserweight division. But in this particular match, Neville, he attacks quickly. It's fast-paced. It's back and forth. Towards the end of the match, we end up seeing the Rings of Saturn submission for the win. I expect that. Again, just like you wouldn't want to bury Austin Aries heading into the pay-per-view, you certainly don't want to bury Neville. So after the match, Neville gets interrupted by Austin Aries' News Network for a special report. Aries appears, he's up on the Titantron. He points out that last week Neville said that no one believes that he can beat Neville. Aries says, who better to ask than the New Day? The New Day appears. They say the only way they can answer that question is Aries has to move his hips. Aries says he's trying to conduct a serious interview, but, to be honest with you, I kind of thought it was pretty funny. He said he needs to know if they can become the WWE, if he can become the WWE Cruiserweight Champion, but then he starts dancing with New Day. They really should not have had him dancing, because it was not a pretty sight to see, but it made the moment very comedic, and the New Day starts chanting for Austin Aries. So obviously they support him. They think he can win that match. I do too. I'm not going to say that he's my pick for the match, but I will tell you, I'm a huge Austin Aries fan, and I would love to see him get a WrestleMania moment. Oh, wait a minute. He's going to be on the pre-show, so he doesn't get one this year. Finally, the Roman Reigns, his long walk to the ring comes to an end. It only took him about 25-30 minutes to get there. Roman Reigns gets to the ring, and he's, again, a hail of boos. Philadelphia does not like Roman Reigns. He talks about how this is where he won the Royal Rumble a couple years ago, and blah, blah, blah. You gotta know that he's playing the heel role, even if he's not booked as a heel. Triple H had a great interview earlier this week where he talked about, if 70% of the audience is booing him, he pretty much is a heel, and they're just presenting the heel in a completely different way. He pretty much is the heel already. So the boos are coming down. He's calling out the Undertaker. He's ignoring all the mind games and everything that's been going on all night, all these vignettes we've been seeing. The Undertaker comes on the big screen. He says the ring he stands in is the Undertaker's yard. A picture of a grave is shown in the background on the Titantron. The grave is going to be Reigns' yard. The Undertaker says he has a special place carved out in hell for Reigns. At WrestleMania, the Roman Empire will fall. The ultimate thrill ride will be Reigns' last ride. And then they pan back, and there's this really cool shot. There's a tombstone there with Reigns' name on it with the date April 2nd, 2017, and the lights go out. This was actually recorded really, really well, really cool. The bells toll, the lights come on, and here's the Undertaker in the ring. No physicality whatsoever. He tells Roman, he gives the whole speech, rest in peace, raises his arms in the air, and then as he lowers his arms, I actually expected Reigns to spear him as he brought his arms down, and instead Reigns just stood there, and he brings his arms down, the lights go off, and that's just the end of the segment, which, by the way, you could pop online, and if you look, you can find there's actually a video out there of the Undertaker getting out of the ring for that segment and disappearing. It's very cool stuff. But I actually enjoyed this segment quite a bit, because even though there was no physicality, I appreciate that every once in a while. It doesn't always have to be fisticuffs to really promote a match or really get something going, and they did a pretty good job with this. Gallows and Anderson take on Enzo and Cass, but wait, it never happens, because here comes Cesaro and Sheamus to attack Gallows and Anderson with a chair before the match even gets started. And of course, there's a brawl that erupts between everybody. The ladder gets used over and over again. It's just complete melee. I don't even know why they walked to the ring. This match, it never even got started. Forget that I even mentioned it, because it goes nowhere. Kevin Owens cuts a promo in the back about not wasting his parents' money on Jericho's gear when he was a kid if he knew what he knows now about Jericho. Would love to know what that is, other than Chris Jericho carried him all through last year as far as promos and everything else, and this Festival of Friendship stuff has been some of the most amazing booking in years, and it's all courtesy of people like Chris Jericho. But he says he's going to end Sami Zayn's career tonight and destroy Jericho at WrestleMania while taking his title, the United States Championship. After the commercial break, we come back, and here we go. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. It is a great match. I know they didn't get enough time like they did in pay-per-view matches in the past, but these two, I don't care how many times they wrestle, it's never a bad match. You know, they always do something pretty exciting. The crescendo of the match, Samoa Joe comes out, he grabs a chair, he's ready to attack Zayn, and then he hit Jericho's music. And so Joe's looking up the ramp, he's waiting for Jericho to come out, and as he's waiting, Jericho comes through the crowd. I actually loved it. You could see in the background, there's a bunch of little kids going, he's over there, look, he's over there. And you can read their mouth, like, kids, why are you telling the bad guy that the good guy's coming? What, are you kidding me? So anyways, these kids are like flagging him down, telling him the guy's coming. Jericho comes from behind, waffles him with the chair. He goes to go after Kevin Owens, but Owens punches him in the face. Good thing, because if he would have hit Owens, there would have been a disqualification and Sami Zayn would have been fired. Oh yeah, they must have thought of that. So Jericho falls to the ground. As he falls to the ground, Zayn comes in. He rolls Kevin Owens up for the quick pinfall, and Sami Zayn has secured his spot in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and he has saved his career because he's now not going to be fired. Owens attacks Sami Zayn in the ring. Jericho makes a save by hitting Owens with a steel chair, and he sends him out of the ring, and that's the segment. Good, decent back and forth. This is just, the only thing I have a problem with is Samoa Joe did nothing this week. He's not booked on WrestleMania's card. He's not on the Go Home episode of Raw. You still haven't brought Finn Balor back, and why would you not bring Finn Balor back for one of the biggest show of the year? And you just keep him off television? The guy's been back at house shows for 2 weeks. You had enough time. You had as much time to build something for Finn Balor, even if it was just against Samoa Joe. You had enough time to build something for Finn Balor if you had enough time to build The Undertaker Reigns. Because The Undertaker Reigns, you only made the match 2 weeks ago. So why wouldn't you book something with Finn Balor? Instead, Samoa Joe's standing there. He's like the bodyguard enforcer guy. He's like Arn Anderson 25 years ago. So he's standing on the outside. He has nothing to do at WrestleMania. I guess he's going to be in Kevin Owens' corner or run out and do a run-in or something, but they really ought to book him a little bit better. I would not be surprised to see Samoa Joe added to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I would actually be hugely in favor of that, but only under certain circumstances. And again, I'll get to that if you check out my episode in a couple days when I give you my WrestleMania predictions. So we come back from another commercial break. We've got Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman in the ring. They have their segment, typical Heyman mic work. The ECW chants are reigning supreme because you're in Philadelphia. I don't know if WWE expects, if they don't expect that by now, they're nuts. If you don't want to hear ECW chants, don't bring Paul Heyman out in Philadelphia. But they're ringing throughout the building. The really cool part is when you listen, you hear the Goldberg chants start up, and then the Lesnar chants pick up. And it wasn't to the intensity of The Rock and Hogan kind of thing, but it was very cool. Or like The Rock and John Cena or any of those. It wasn't to that level, but it definitely was an interesting play off by the fans, where you have Goldberg fans and you have Lesnar fans. And then you got the other idiots out there who are just going to scream for both sides just because they want to be loud. You know, whatever. I'm one of those idiots because I'd be screaming for both of them. I'd be like, Goldberg, Lesnar. I'd be chanting for both of them too. I get it. So the Philly crowd is hype, and as they're waiting, cue the music for Goldberg. Here he comes. He comes to the top of the ramp. I was actually a little surprised they had him stop at the top of the ramp, and I didn't understand why they would do that, because it makes it look like he's scared to get in the ring, and that's totally the opposite of Bill Goldberg's character. But he had a great line. After his music hits, he's out there, he's at the top of the ramp, he says, the people didn't come here to listen to them talk. They came to see them fight. And since we can't bring everybody in Philadelphia to WrestleMania, let's bring WrestleMania to Philly. And Goldberg goes to the ring, and Lesnar slides out under the bottom rope, and as he gets out there, he goes to run after Goldberg, and Goldberg drills him with a spear, leaving him laying on the floor. Goldberg climbs into the ring, he's holding up the belt, tears off the shirt, he still looks jacked as sin. That guy at 50, God, I wish I looked like that at any point in my life, much less at 50, but he gets in the ring and he does his whole thing, and here is the issue I have. He wins the match at Survivor Series in a minute 26 by obliterating Brock Lesnar. He throws Brock Lesnar out at the Royal Rumble in short order. every interaction they have is so abbreviated. So you're heading into the biggest pay-per-view of the year, one of the biggest, most anticipated matches on the card, where they better give these guys more than a minute 26 to tell their story. I've been hearing people on different news agencies and different sheets and stuff like that. One of my favorites, and I'm not that I'm always trying to plug other people, but Wrestle Talk TV, they talk about how they want to have a 3-minute Iron Man match. I find that to be one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life, but that's what I feel like here. Why did he spear him and then leave him laying? Are you really holding off Goldberg because he's so out of ring shape that he can't hold 5 minutes in the ring with Brock Lesnar? Or is this something where you're just trying to keep them apart as much as you can before the big match? But then people are going to be like, it's going to feel awkward if Goldberg's in the ring at WrestleMania and you only give him like 15, 20 minutes. Because we haven't seen 15, 20 minutes of Goldberg since like 1998. All right, so you really, I'm not sure what they're doing here with the booking. I would have had a little more physicality between the two, take a few bumps, or not have any physicality at all. Let it all hang out there. Let them tease things. You could have done one of those things that Brock's really good at, where they get in the ring, they get nose to nose, and he backs off, and then the fans are booing like crazy because they were anticipating some big segment. Didn't do any of that. I guess that's okay. We're going to hit our fantasy booking situation for this episode. We've been trying to run through this, and, episode after episode, I need your comments, people. Give me what you think is going to happen in our fantasy tournament. 128 of the greatest wrestlers in history, all former or current world champions. And I need to get you guys input as to who's going to win some of these matches. So when you go into YouTube, make sure you pop into the comment section and tell me who you've got winning some of these. Tonight's matches: The Rock taking on, The Rock has many world championships, versus former Ring of Honor world champion Roderick Strong. And in the next match, Bruno Sammartino, the living legend, 8 years and then 4 years, 12 total years run with the WWF Championship. And he's going to be taking on, in this fantasy match, Ring of Honor World Champion Adam Cole. Put your responses to who you think would win those matches in the comment section on YouTube or on iTunes or on Spreaker, Stitcher, Podomatic, Podbean, you name it, wherever you get this podcast. Go ahead, put your comments in there, because I pop into all of them and try to tabulate all your opinions. I really love to hear you guys, what you have to say, especially when we're doing this fantasy booking thing. That's really cool. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with episode 55 for the SmackDown review. And we're going to take a look at what the results are heading out of there. That's going to give us our firm, clear vision of what WrestleMania is going to look like. Special thanks as always go out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all the music and sound effects that we used in today's show. Today's podcast is sponsored in part by Beazle Games, bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this new game from Beazle Games by going to www.thegamecrafter.com/sketchypeople to pick up your copy today, and to alleyrepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. We want to thank you as always for taking the time to listen to this podcast. We encourage you to go to our website at www.frolifeplanning.com to learn more about what Mr. Fro can do for you in your path to higher education. Remember, Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro, and I want to thank you, as always, for taking a few moments with us today. And if you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, go to www.tsjsports.com/WWE for my latest articles on the world of professional wrestling. Until episode 55, take care, everybody, and check out SmackDown.